Well, DRDGold reported an 8% decline in first quarter revenue to 484 million rand. Gold production for the period also came in 6% lower at 33,000 or rather ounces. Now, the company chief executive, Neil Pretorius, joins us now to unpack the numbers further. Neil, thanks so much for your time today. Just looking back at the previous quarter, you did manage to improve your gold production ever so slightly, but following several initiatives with regard to streamlining your business, your gold production as well as operating profit has taken a bit of a knock.
It has, yes. Now we're in the middle of commissioning our latest piece of technology, our newest toy, and it's intended to, and it's designed to take more of the gold that enters our plant out of the slurry flow. About half of the gold that enters the plant still ends up on the tailings dam afterwards. And this piece of technology, which is a flotation circuit coupled with a fine grinding set of mills, which grinds the material down to a very, very fine fraction, to about minus 23 micron. That's designed to liberate some of the gold that previously did not respond to our metallurgical process. So if you look at what had happened in the last quarter, or the quarter under review, of the three components that are key to our operations, firstly, volume delivery, that was on target. Then the metallurgical side, with this introduction or the commissioning of this new technology, which is still ongoing, that was below call, or below what we had planned. And then the third portion, disposing of the tailings, that went along according to plan. And it's really now in the next few weeks through to the end of this, through the half year, at the end of December, all our focus and attention would be on making sure that we get the last few bits and pieces of this technology stabilized.
I was going to ask Gugu at the beginning, does she know what a flotation fine grind circuit is? But I think you've explained it as much as we can on a show like this.
Sure.
But it did sound as if that new technology was partly responsible. It created some bottlenecks. It's still being run in. So that implies, all other things being equal, that you'll have a better quarter and a better half for the next time.
Well, we're certainly hoping that that it will turn this quarter, and that we will end up in a stable operating position by the end of the quarter. The challenge with the commissioning of this piece of technology is that it does capture a very high percentage of the gold that enters the plant. And until such time as you get it through the whole process, it will remain basically in lockup. It's a favorite term of mine, is if the gold doesn't come out, it's in lockup. Now, it really is. We just need to get it through these bottlenecks and into the solution and into the smelt house. I mean, therein lies the solution for it.
Neil, we know that labour unrest in particular has been a key focus with regard to the mining industry, and it's managed to kind of ripple its way into other sectors in the South African economy.
Yes. But
however, you've managed to deal with this in a positive manner. You've managed to settle a 2-year wage agreement, and oddly enough, a lot of the strikes at DRDGold haven't been of a violent nature.
Yes.
How have you done this right, so to speak?
Well, I think, well, first and foremost, it depends really with the sort of mindset that your employees arrive at work. And I think we have been fortunate. We do have programs, obviously, aimed at employee development and so forth. Most of our employees are also more operator types, as opposed to just moving stuff around manually. So I think maybe one level up from labor. They're not as concentrated as you would find on your traditional mines. They have a different shift system. They're also fully integrated in community. Many of them arrive there with their own transport, etc. So it's maybe just a different kind of profile altogether. Well,
looking at the mine, there's a kind of paradox. You're talking about this new technology to get the best possible extraction of the gold. On the other hand, it's an old operation. You're not underground. You're treating the dregs of previous operations in many cases. Given where the gold price has been, and let's say it stays at those kinds of levels, what kind of life are we looking at for this operation?
Well, it depends to a large extent on our technology that we use, and if there are further room for improvement. At the moment, we've got an 8-year life at the current gold price without changes to technology, provided that we can get this one up and running and working smoothly. There's plenty of waste material in and around Johannesburg. We probably have the largest stockpile in the world of material, 11 million ounces of resources. So depending on gold price and technology, we could extend this for many, many decades. Current gold price, current technology, it's probably about an 8-year life.
Many decades, that's quite a big statement.
Especially for a gold mining company. But let's take a look at your Blayford operation in Carltonville. You managed to sell that stake to Village Main Reef just over a year ago.
Yes.
Are you looking to conduct similar deals, and what has that done for your business?
Well, we now have a pure business, one with which you could basically summarize in a single line, and that is that we are an on-surface retreatment company. We basically treat waste product through a mechanized, technology-driven process. which is not labor intensive and which runs 365 days per year, 24/7. It's an easier sell. It's a smaller company, and therefore you need an easy sell, a simple story with not too many different dynamics that can impact on production and output. So if you want to penetrate the investor market that we are focusing on, namely the institutionalized investor market, you need something that is simple and straightforward. And it seems to be working. The register has certainly responded very nicely to, firstly, the sale of the last of our underground mines, and also the better consistency over the last few reporting periods. And of course, we've been paying dividends for the last 6 years, which also helps.
Let's just look at the broader picture that you operate in, and with that medium-term budget policy statement coming up tomorrow. I mean, it's interesting to know what chief executives are thinking about this. We were talking yesterday, and we'll talk a little bit more today about this, where there's expectation on the finance minister. You as a chief executive, obviously you've got your eye on your flotation and fine grind circuits most of the time.
Yes.
But you're looking at the bigger picture. What are you hoping for? What are you expecting from this statement?
People need to show up at work, and they'll show up at work and they'll give you a day's of productive input if they are settled, if they're comfortable. So we have to look at the lower end, some lower end relief. You had a long discussion about public transportation. We need to look at food and food inflation and so forth. We gave our employees a 10% increase this year. That 10% increase might not be enough unless there's some real relief and some focus on the lower end, or else people are just going to get deeper and deeper into debt. You'll have a increasingly disillusioned and embittered labour force, and that then leads to the sort of things that we've seen in the mining industry in the recent past. So I would hope that we could see some real focus on that. And then, of course, I think because so much of the capital that's invested in South Africa in mining infrastructure is from outside of South Africa, we also need to see some certainty also in respect of those areas that impact the perception of our country as an investor market internationally.
Yep.
So we need certain policies on labour. We've got to really start maybe exercising a bit of discipline on how labour unions go about their business. It's really becoming increasingly difficult to sell the country if you have the likes of BMW and other car manufacturers saying that they've run out of patience. So I think better regulation and maybe some discipline need to enter that part of it. And then I think the world also wants to see that we can deliver on infrastructure projects like Eskom, like power delivery, like rail delivery and so forth. The future of mining in South Africa is probably leaning towards bulk commodities, so power and infrastructure I think are going to be very important from an international investor perspective.
So we need signals on those.
Definitely. Neil, great hearing your insights today. That
you.
was Neil Pretorius, who is the Chief Executive of DRDGold.